Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 122 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and where I get into other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, August the 13th, 2022, and it's a gorgeous summer day. I think it's in the mid-80s outside. It cooled down beautifully overnight. When I got up this morning, it was only 52 Fahrenheit, and I'm like, oh, beautiful. Love when it's cool overnight so you can sleep well. So, welcome. If you're a new viewer, thank you so much for popping in to check me out. I hope you're happy here and you like it. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to see what I've been up to and what I've managed to knit and get into and all that good stuff. I'm so happy to have all of you here with me today. So let's get to it. So a few things I want to talk about today. Little flowers. We went to our little farmer's market down the street this morning, and my flower lady is there, and she had little baby bouquets of flowers. So it was all sold out, so she said, I'll pull something together for you. So she went and plucked out a bunch of loose flowers that she had and came up with this gorgeous little bouquet for me. Love it. They have no smell though, but they're so pretty. And I wasn't particular about what color, so surprised me, whatever you want. So it has quite a purple theme, but they're gorgeous. First bunch of little flowers I got from her this summer. If you remember last year, many weeks I had a little mini bouquet of flowers from her. So we bought 2 little vases from her in the past, and now I just buy a refill. so fantastic. I love them. I'm so happy to get my little flowers back again. And I have a finished object to show you. My other travel socks are finished. When I saw you last, the legs were done, and I think I was just ready to start the heel flaps. So they fit a little awkwardly on my sock blockers. They don't fit on here very nicely. They're kind of all bunchy. They fit my feet just fine. So these are my sort of shorty socks. They are just a basic vanilla sock pattern. I do about 15 rounds of, in this case I did a 1x1 ribbing. Then I did another 2-3 inches of just plain stockinette for the leg. And I prefer a shorter leg on my socks because I've got pudgy legs. So a short leg is perfect for me. Just a standard slip stitch heel flap, heel turn, standard gusset decreases, and then continue all the way down the foot until it was time to do a wedge toe decrease. So nothing out of the ordinary, nothing unusual. I used Patton's Croy sock, Peyton's, however you want to pronounce it. So this is the emergency yarn I bought when I was at my sister's place in Canada last week. A week ago, Tuesday and Wednesday. So about this last Wednesday morning. So I cast these on last Wednesday and just finished tucking in the tails this morning. So what I found with these though is the yarn is it's a little bit more on the heavy fingering weight size. It's 166 yards per 50 gram ball. So it's a little bit heavier than my usual yarn that I use for socks. So they came out a little bit big, which is why I think they look a little bit bunchy and funny on the sock blockers, but I'm not that fussy about it. And the two yarns seem different. I was just studying the two. I couldn't find a spot that they were identical when I started. One seems to be a little bit more blue and the other seems a little bit more green. That's fine. They're on my feet and no one's gonna care. If anyone else does care, I don't. They're on my feet. No one else's problem but mine. So this is Turquoise Stripes was the name of the yarn, or the color of the yarn. So those are done. I'm happy they're done. I'm now down to one single work in progress, which I'm going to spend any of my spare knitting time this week is going to be spent on my one single whip. Unless I succumb to some kind of peer pressure and cast something new on. I need to refrain. I really do want to get this one going. Oh, and on my socks, I did those using 2.25 millimeter needle, or is that a US one? I think it's a US one. I did them 2 at a time magic loop. So they were both, often I do my socks 2 at a time in tandem. So I'll do one cuff, then the second cuff, then the leg, then the second leg. These were full proper 2 at a time on one magic loop. So, and they were both done, it was done cuff, top down, cuff down. So I started with 64 stitch cast on. So those are the basics of the pattern. My single work in progress is in my Fringe Supply field bag. And this is my Empress top. I haven't put a lot of work into this lately, and it's well overdue for some attention. So I'm all tangled up here and I don't want to lose where my needle is. So I've added a tiny bit since I last showed you this, where the little stitch marker is down here. So I've added maybe an inch. So not much at all. So this is the Empress top. It is a pattern by Sari Nordlund, and I'm really enjoying it. The pattern uses baubles, and I opted for putting in beads instead. I'm not sure if you can see a little sparkle here and there. Can you even see the beads in there? Am I even showing you where there are beads? Here's one. They might be a little bit hard to see. They're actually more visible on the inside than on the outside. Hopefully blocking will fix that. So here's some of the beads here. But I like it. I'm not a huge fan of knitting baubles, and but I have the beads. They're a good color match to the yarn, so I thought I'm going for it. So I'm using Loops and Threads Wool-like. It's an acrylic nylon blend. I think it's 8515 acrylic nylon. I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles, or a US 4. And I'm getting closer to being done the lace portion. So this is a short sleeve summer sweater, and it has 2 repeats of this pretty floral tulip kind of lace pattern on it. Once you're done the lace portion, then you just continue on with plain stockinette for the rest of the top and the sleeves. I don't think there's any decoration on the sleeves, no. I have about, let me just double check quickly. Yeah, no, the sleeves don't have any decoration. They're just a basic short sleeve sweater. I am on, ready to start round 26 out of 45 rounds that I have to do that will finish off the lace portion and then it just continues on with straight stockinette after that. So my plan is to spend any and all of my spare time this week coming up, which might not be as much as I am hoping for. My spare time is going to be drastically cut down starting this week coming up. So my output for knitting might slow down a little bit. And I'll talk a bit more about that in just a couple minutes. So what I do want to do is spend most of my spare time this upcoming week working on my Empress top and see how much I can get done. I think once I finish the lace portion and I no longer have to follow a chart and keep track of what's going on, then I can just knit, and it should go a lot quicker once it's just plain stockinette. Just knit stitch all the way around and around and around, row after row. So that's my knitting progress for the week. It's not a whole lot. Well, I finished half a pair of socks. I wasn't quite at the halfway point on my Croy socks. So those are finished, and I added a handful of rows onto my Empress top. That I think I had worked on before I went on holidays in July, and I forgot to show that to you guys last week. But that is progress that you haven't seen recently. So I will show you a lot more of that one next week, and hopefully I'll have a lot of progress to show on that. But that's about it for knitting content. Other than I want to tell you a little bit about, there's this online auction company that's local to us, and I usually check every week or so to see if they've got anything that they typically do estate sales, and I'm typically looking to see what they might have that I might be interested in putting a bid on. So I noticed on their page that they had an auction that was closing this past Tuesday that had a decent amount of knitting supplies, and I don't see that often in their sales. I seldom see much knitting anything, so I was pretty excited about this. They had some yarn, but that went for about $30 for 10 skeins of bulky weight yarn. For that price, I was not interested. So I ended up bidding on and winning three lots that they had. One of them was a lot of sewing supplies, so it's kind of, there's some oddball things in there too. There was some cutlery in there. I did not notice cutlery in the pictures that they had online. I have no idea. There's several pair of scissors in there, so I'm looking forward to checking those out to see if they're decent fabric scissors or what. There was also a ball winder in with the sewing things, and when I peeked in the box, it doesn't look like it's ever been used or assembled. So that was pretty cool. And there was a handful of crochet hooks in there and a few circular knitting needles. The second lot that I bid on and won had a matching pair of, it was a quilted tote bag and a quilted needle roll, a straight needle roll. And the needle roll had two pair of knitting needles in there, large size ones, and the bag is really nice. I am going to film a separate video of the knitting related things that I won, and I'll post that in a few days. But I'll show you the tote and the knitting roll. And there were also 2 books in that lot. One of them was Vogue Knitting. Where is it? This exact book. So I now have 2 copies of that. So One of those 2 copies is going to go into a giveaway that I'll do in a few weeks, several weeks from now. I think when I do episode 125, I'm going to do a giveaway. But the Vogue knitting book will be one of the things I give away, because I now have 2 copies. And the other book was a collection of Noro yarn patterns. So that one's really neat. I like that one. And then the third lot that I won, and this is the one I really was excited about. There was a tote bag. Okay, that's not the part I was excited about. And there was a box. I will take a picture and post it up here in just a bit. But there was a box of a whole pile of circular knitting needles. And I was like, it was a small plastic box. It was probably about 2-3 inches tall and probably about 1.5 feet long by maybe 10 inches wide. Some kind of that kind of relative shape, a rectangular shaped plastic, a plastic box, or one of those acrylic boxes. And it had a whole ton of knitting needles in it. From the picture, I could see that there were quite a few that were made by Addie, and there were also a bunch of Haya needles. Now, I didn't have the time to go down. You can go to each of these auctions. You can go and preview what's being sold. I couldn't be bothered. It's a half-hour drive from where we live, so I'm not going to bother. And what I'm going to do, and there's also a bunch of double point needles in there. It's a whole mixed bag of all kinds of stuff. There's also a handful of empty packages in there as well. So I'm kind of hoping that some of the loose needles that are in there belong in some of the bags or the packages that are there. So I am going to, later today or tomorrow afternoon or sometime in the very near future, I'm going to film unboxing or film everything that's in there. And I know, just doing at a quick glance of some of the things, there's some needles in there that I have no desire for. There's one set that there's these huge, big fat needles. I don't think I will ever use that for anything. So what I think I'll probably do is list a bunch of them on Ravelry for sale and see if anyone else wants to buy them from me. There's a bunch that are bamboo, and I'm not a huge fan of knitting with bamboo needles, so those might be sold. A lot of the double points will I'll definitely be listing those for sale, because I don't often use double point needles, and I have plenty already in most of the sizes I like using. I did glance there, and there were 3 or 4 packets of needles and an extra cable for the Haya interchangeable set. The interchangeable set was nowhere to be seen. I have no idea if she ever, I'm assuming she, that might be bad of me to assume it was a female. I'm going to assume that either they sold or got rid of the interchangeable set, or perhaps they bought the interchangeable needles in error and just had these extra needles that they wouldn't need or don't want. There's also some of those stitch holders, those big metal ones for when you do sleeves and you want to put them on some waste yarn or onto a stitch holder. So there's a bunch of those. There's all kinds of cool goodies in there. So I am happy with everything I got, and I will videotape all the knitting related stuff. The sewing related stuff, the ball winder, the ball winder was in with those, and that's probably worth more than what I paid for the lot. So what I'll do with the rest of the sewing stuff, I'll take a close look through it and the scissors and see what I think of everything, and I might just donate a lot of the stuff I have, maybe perhaps have no use for in the sewing section of stuff. So that was my excitement for that. Like I say, I will videotape that perhaps this afternoon. If not today, then I will tape it in the next couple days, and I'll post it midway through the week, maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday, so you can see what kind of fun stuff I bought. And I mentioned earlier that my spare time might be dwindling a little bit in the near future. The university season, the new semester at school is going to be starting up. Classes start a week Monday. So on the 21st, 22nd, whatever that Monday is when classes start. But this week coming up, I have a meeting with a couple friends on Zoom on Monday morning. Then Tuesday and Wednesday are normal days for me. Thursday is an all-day professional development thing on campus that pretty much all of our faculty they basically expect that we do come out for that. Friday is later in the morning, they're having the special ceremony for all the incoming students, so all the faculty attend that, and we wear our fancy regalia and all that fun stuff. And then there's mandatory advising for incoming students. So Thursday and Friday are done. We've got things going on Saturday, we've got things going on Sunday, and then Monday is back in the classroom. So this week coming up also, I need to make sure I have all my materials and everything all set and ready for classes to start in a week from this week coming up. So I need to make sure I have all my materials ready, have the syllabus ready for my different classes, all that stuff, work out when the due dates for everything is. All of that has to be done this week coming up. Not that I procrastinated or anything, that I couldn't have done it earlier. I am hoping to get that done Tuesday and Wednesday, to have that finished, so that everything is all set and ready to go, so I'm not in a panic on next Sunday night, making sure I've got everything ready for classes to start Monday morning. I don't want to procrastinate that long. But, so I will be quite busy with work-related things starting this week now coming up. And I will have a little less spare time for knitting and that kind of fun stuff. Work takes precedence. So, but otherwise, I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything new. I'm going to try my hardest not to cast on anything new this week coming up, and to focus exclusively on my Empress top, to see just how much I can hopefully get done and how much I can have to show you guys for next week. I really hope I can get a good chunk of the body finished. Like I say, I really would like to be able to wear this sweater while it's still summertime, and while it's still seasonably appropriate for wearing. But who am I kidding? I wear short sleeve shirts most of the year. Dead of winter, I'm still often wearing a short sleeve shirt is fine. I'm warm-blooded, and I have extra insulation. So, but anyway, on that note, I should get going. I'll go get this editing done, get the video up and ready to post on YouTube for you guys, and I shall let you go, and I will see you guys again next week. If you haven't yet, I would love it if you would like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you enjoy it here, I'd appreciate it so much if you would subscribe to my channel. Hit the little bell notification so you know when I post something new, like my knitting needle collection that I just bought when that comes live. So I'd appreciate that very much. Alrighty, I'll quit yakking at you. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you guys again in a week. Bye.